Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. Don't worry, I'm not actually late today. I am late, obviously. Can't tell what time it is. Only 10 minutes. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm not super sick. I'm just, 10 minutes late. I've been sitting here for the past, probably about an hour and a half, going through the news. You notice there's no news ticker because I didn't have time to do that. So, I guess I'll do that really quick. Here, sure. Current topic, because there's only one topic. I guess there's two topics. Thank you, Timinosh. As always, much appreciate. Up towards Wasteland 3. Days on list. Yeah, how long it's been there. It's how many days it's been on the list. I don't know what else to add to that, man. Help me out here. Oh my god. So, for those of you not aware, the Guerrilla Games announcement showcase thing was yesterday. That's why I'm late. I've been trying to catch up on that. Because they announced like 100,000 billion games, I think. I might be exaggerating slightly, but it's a lot. So I will be rushing through that as quickly as I can. And by as quickly as I can, I mean I'm going to take my time. Yes, hazardous. That's exactly what it means. That's why the number goes up, not down. And why... No, dude! Thank you, Blue Off Alex. As always. And thank you, Mike Romano. Very, very much for the subs. You didn't say what you want to put it towards. Am I caught up with STO? Nope. I have not had time. Between being sick and absolutely smashing my way through these Lorecraft videos, that's been my life. As with a typical rumination/recording cycle, I have been working exceptionally long days in order to try and, get through this as quickly as possible. I suppose I'll give you a little bit of an update, and that is thank you, FM Craig. There's the update. Much appreciate. I gotta hurry, Von Falkenstein. I got stuff to do. Anyways, Craig, Alex, second Mike Romano. Of 3, though, we will be taking another one in November. 7, just going toward Marvel, Ultimate Alliance 3. I hope you mean 3, because 1 and 2 were both discontinued, Justin T. And if you don't, well, then we need to talk. Oh my gosh. Yeah, break. As I've said before, whenever I do these recording cycles, I'm actually working harder than when I normally stream. But that's kind of... right? Okay, I missed a whole bunch of people. Hang on. Thank you, Justin T. Very, very much. Mike Romanus is going towards Maneater. You meant 3, good, because if you didn't, we'd have to reallocate it, Justin. Thank you, Justin. Nerdpix is going to Laura's Choice. Thank you very much, as always. Thank you, Emperor Valerian, very, very much. Not getting any rest. I would consider taking a day off, except... High coffee powered. Except for the fact that I had the sick problems the last couple of weeks. And that means I sort of had to take days off. So I'm actually way behind on my work schedule because I couldn't really work. No, I have not Drax yet. Dragon Age Inquisition. Zlartek, thank you again, Zlartek, very much. Nerdpix was towards Dealer's Choice. I caught that. F and Craig, I didn't catch. Wolf Alex, I didn't catch. Ultimate Cloud is going towards FF14 and Wolka. Thank you very much. As always. Very much appreciate. Lorecraft update. So, I was sick. Obviously, I lost a lot of work time then. I did try my best to keep working. Got it, Blue Felix. Hollow Knight. Gotcha. Hollow Knight for F and Craig. I didn't even see that. I apologize. I tried to get as much work as I could done while I was sick, but obviously, you know, at first I had the stomach bug, and then I had a pretty bad cold, which lasted like 4 days. So there's only so much I could do, right? The good news is I did get a lot of scripting done. For those of you not aware, the whole process is, you know, overall outline of zones, and then bullet point per zone of what to cover, and then first draft, second draft, third draft. Third draft is the one I actually record. That's the finished script. So I have actually finished all of Cataclysm's scripts, and that's what I was doing when I couldn't otherwise talk or function, as I just kept smashing out script after script after script so that that's ready to go. As of yesterday, actually probably Friday, but as of pretty recently, I was able to finally actually start recording again and get some of those into visible format, in which case I have finished Gilneas, Duratar, and Kazan and Ashara, which I managed over the last couple of days. Next up will be Ashenvale, and then, you know, I'll be smashing through the rest of Cataclysm again as quickly as I can. The good news is I keep coming up with new methods to streamline this whole process, so hopefully it'll turn out well and good, and hopefully people like it. If they don't, that sucks. But that's where we're at with the Lorecraft series. Now, I know I made this joke last week, but I absolutely have to comment on the fact that despite the fact that they have straight up stated that it's just going to be software-based Nintendo Direct for their E3 thing, for games coming out this year, people are still like, aha! That's it! That's when the Switch Pro is going to be announced. Yeah! Okay. We're good. How do I get shot of bosses? So, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They're not active when I take shots of them, or I have to take very specific types of shots, depending. I don't know how to describe it. There's a whole process that goes into capturing footage in Warcraft, because you're limited to... What's the vault? Final buff. You're limited to... Good, Taquita. A first-person perspective, and you can't do anything other than move around in a straight line. Like, you can't strafe, for example, so that's off the topic. So there's only certain types of shots that I can take, right? But when it comes to taking pictures of bosses and whatnot, what I usually try to do is I have a really good mental map of where the aggro areas are for when the boss will actually come run up and try to punch me. And I try to get as close to that as I can and then get the footage that I can. And in some specific cases, I try to get it when it's doing things. Can I do shots in first person? Spoken as someone who has not seen any of the Lorecraft footage. Yes, 99.99% of the shots are in first person. So far, I think I've taken a grand total of 3 shots not in first person. But anyways, that's where that's at. I'm pretty happy with it so far. The job of the Sith Inquisitor? Well, they're trying to do what they can to take over the world, obviously. Now, Hazardous asked about the times on the time in list. So what that means is that number is the number of days that has been in the list. That's the answer to that question. There's actually a bit of a bug in the scripting right now, so the website is not 100% updated, even though I went to update it last night, because the script is not pulling 100% accurate information from the spreadsheet. It's close to accurate. All the games that should be there are there. Grounded got funded yesterday, for example, and I did update the ticker for that. But the list is not 100% accurate right now in terms of anything. So if you're wondering why, for example, a donation that you put in hasn't shown up, that's why. It is in the spreadsheet. I'm 100% up to date on the spreadsheet. Don't worry about it. Nothing else is close to being funded right now anyways, so it's not a huge issue for the moment. Hazardous asked why anybody would care how long a game is in the list. Believe it or not, it's been a semi-regularly requested feature, and it's something that several people have been like, hey, you know, we would like to see how long the game has been in the list. And so me and Third and Zolok actually tossed around ideas for a while in order to try and get it into a relatively easily presentable format, which is that. So, and you can also sort. There's also a sort option. So you can sort by priority, name, funders, and time and list, so you can see the oldest games. If you're wondering why there's a whole bunch of games that have the exact same time on the list, that's when we started tracking that. Obviously, we weren't tracking that before that, so that's just kind of the same time in the list for all of those. Thank you, Vinyl Buff, very much. Always appreciate those subs. Still never got an answer to what you were looking for with regards to the Volt. And thank you, Ciela, as always. Very, very, very much. I do appreciate... Thank you. No, Venters! God, that hasn't been true in years. That hasn't been true forever. Wow, where did that information come from? That hasn't been true since, like, 2007. Okay, hang on. So there was 2 from Ciela. Let me jot these down before I lose them. And then there was 1 from Vinyl Buff, who was awesome. Thank you. I'm sorry that I've been streaming recently, Final Buff. I do hope you've been enjoying the VODs on YouTube. Lunar SCCC for the 1 Ciela. And Vigilant. That's the other one. I knew it was another one I was missing. Mortal Kombat. No comment, Vigilant, but thank you very much. Always appreciate. To answer you, Venters, really quickly, my favorite expansion is Legion. My second favorite expansion is Pandaria. My third favorite expansion would be... So hang on. Legion... Pandaria, Cataclysm. I'm not going to count Shadowlands yet. It's not done yet, so it's not fair. So let's go with... Hang on. So Legion, Pandaria, Cataclysm, Warlords, Wrath, and then BC. Probably in that... Oh, sorry. I forgot Shadowlands. Or sorry, BFA. Then BFA, then BC. There you go. That's my order of preferred expansions. So if you're... help me out here, Vinyl Buff. Are you looking for, like, where all the old VODs are? Are you looking for the list of where you could put that? Are you looking for the list of stuff that's upcoming? There are many things we could be helping out here. All of it's on the website, but, you know, there's also commands in chat we can help out with. Is that it? I think that's it. Oh, right. So, for those of you who didn't actually notice, I don't blame you if you didn't, all of the E3 stuff that we'll be covering at the moment is on the website at the scheduled time it's going to happen. That's kind of irritating because it's going to cut into Lorecraft time, which is going to make Lorecraft take even longer, but we've always covered E3 and we're going to cover it again. That being said, there's a decent chance that we will not be uploading... How do I phrase this? There's a decent chance that the E3 stuff from this year will not be visible on YouTube. For those of you not aware, one of our most absolutely consistently copy-wronged videos on YouTube is the E3 stuff, with videos regularly being blocked in multiple countries because I don't know why. So, we'll cover it live. I'll do a summary during Loreweek, just in case the VODs get blocked. But for the most part, that's our current approach. I will be uploading them to YouTube, it's just I can't guarantee they're actually going to be visible on YouTube. Sense make? But that's how that's going to go. I don't even remember when the first one is. I'll just check the website. Hang on, let's go to website.com. Apparently this coming Saturday? This next Saturday, is that right? Yep, this coming Saturday we'll be having the Ubisoft conference, and then a week from today we'll be doing Microsoft and Square Enix. Then a week from tomorrow we'll doing Capcom, and then Nintendo. EA does have a presentation. They haven't said when it's happening, so that's why that one isn't scheduled yet. It's happening last, and it's happening way late compared to the other ones. Well, Ubisoft has already said some of the stuff they're showcasing, and none of it is interesting. Hang on. Before I allow myself to react to Imperial Star Destroyer here, give me 1 second. Because this is funny. Give me a sec. So let's see. We've got... Oh, of course, it's not going to say on Ubisoft website. Of course it wouldn't. Why would that be? There we go. So they're going to show off Rainbow Six? Far Cry 6? Okay. Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Okay. They're showing off Mythic Quest some more. Anyone remember that? And the Werewolves Within movie that they're still working on. And there's going to be more information for Watch Dogs Legion. Woohoo! I'm not expecting anything from the Ubisoft conference. We'll see. It'd be nice, but yeah, no, nothing. So hang on. Thank you very much, Adectus, for the sub. Very much appreciated as always. That's going towards... I caught it. There it is. Deus Ex Human... And no, I have not, Trihex, yeah. Never even occurred to me. Oh, you know what, Mike Romano? That has happened before. You remember the year where Ubisoft announced... this isn't why, but it was the year when they announced the Mario Rabbids XCOM game. You remember that? I mentioned that because that year, Ubisoft kind of nailed it. Like, they were the best conference of E3. Not just because the Mario game. It was just, there was like, bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, this is actually a good conference. What the heck is going on? And I remember it especially because we weren't going to cover that conference, if you remember. It was something we were still debating doing. And then there's the year where Cyberpunk had Keanu Reeves, and everyone insisted that Keanu Reeves won that particular conference. Yeah, no kidding, Crazy Horse. Hi, Torchinator. Okay, got all those down. Thank you, Imperial Star Destroyer, very, very much. Always appreciate, sir. Very, very, very much. Thank you. It is a comfort to know that you still got my back when I'm slamming out all these Lorecraft videos. Thank you. Another one went live today, as usual, because that happens every Sunday. Thank you very much, Paranoid Android. Always appreciate. Thank you. I will put that towards Alpha Centauri. Hey, Dark Prince Revan. Your timing is interesting. I haven't really been streaming lately, because I've been working on the other thing. Bobby Kotick! No. They pull out... I mean, okay, in real talk, this would be a stunt that absolutely would not get points. But it would nevertheless be entertaining if they just rolled Bobby Kotick out on stage and had a group of people who had raw eggs and just egged him right there on camera. Now, again, they wouldn't actually get points for that, because that's cheap. That's a couple minutes of mild humiliation and a shower, right? That doesn't cost anything. But it would still be entertaining to watch. Hey, Deckfish. I mean, yeah, right, Trathan? It would just be like, alright, there's Bobby. Oh, okay. And then the twist is that he decides to sue everyone, or press charges, because that's actually battery. And yeah, that is totally the kind of PR stunt that they would pull. Again, because it costs nothing. Oh no, I'm getting egged on stage. Whoop-de-doo. And then I go and take a shower and then get into my new $5,000 suit, and then I go back to work. Whoop-de-crap. Thank you, Spectacular DJ Gamer. However, I'm going to say no. I'm not allowing Dragon Quest XI S to be added to the list, since we've already reviewed Dragon Quest XI, and I know that it's a slightly different game, but given the sheer size and massiveness of the game, no. I will put that towards Dragon Quest IX if you would prefer. This is a beard brush. This entire purpose of this thing is to do this. So yes, I have absolutely been polishing, I've been brushing my beard with my beard brush. Listen, puppies are cheap, Venters. Everyone knows that. That's just super cheap right there. Hang on. The Spectacular DJ Gamer 2 Dragon Quest 9, which I think is actually not on the list right now, but it's about to be. No, I'm not at trim yet. Trim phase yet. You play Dragon Quest 3 Octopath Edition? Probably. It doesn't look like it's completely headache-inducing, unlike Octopath, but, you know, that's probably going to be a year or two away, so who knows. Anyways, someone asked me about a Warhammer announcement. No, I didn't see it. I did see that someone donated me a certain Warhammer DLC. Thank you for that, Scion. And thank you, Fife. Very, very much. I'm glad you like the Lorecraft series, very much so. I've been putting a lot of work into it, obviously. Put that towards Shadowlands. Okay. So, E3, yep, cool. The whole reason I was late today was I was catching up on yesterday's announcement. So for those of you not aware, yesterday, I'll go ahead and adjust this stuff. Any day now. There we go. My opinion on the Disney remakes is I haven't seen them, so I have no idea. And that's the truth. I can't make an opinion on something I haven't seen. Yesterday was the Guerrilla Collective's announcements, where they just rapid-fired shoved like 40 games down my throat. And catching up on those 40 games so I could have at least something to talk about them was why I was late this morning. That was pretty much my entire morning this morning. I didn't even exercise this morning, to give you an idea. So let's go through these in order of the list that I have here. I'm going to butcher these pronunciations. First, we have ANNO Mutationem. No idea how to pronounce that. It looks okay. It's a side-scroller cyberpunk platformer. But for the most part, it looks like it's going to be a little bit not great. I want to explain that a little bit. So, side-scroller platformers are obviously my bag, right? That's probably my favorite overall genre of video game. At the very least, it's tied for it. But the thing is, as a consequence of that, I tend to get a little picky about it, because there's large open corridors without a lot to actually interact with or do, so there's not a lot of actual platforming involved. And most of the combat seems to involve large, really obvious to dodge attacks and abilities in large open corridors, so it's mostly about trying to just avoid the telegraphs, which, shrug. So it looked kind of bland, is what I'm trying to say on the gameplay side of things. Oh yeah, by the way, Germany is once again trying to start an American football league in Europe. That's all I'm going to say about that, because that's not news. But FYI. Anyways. So, it looks kind of eh. It's got a neat style to it, the cyberpunk thing, but in terms of gameplay, it looks kind of bland. Eternal Cylinder looks really cool in premise. So Eternal Cylinder is a game, it basically, imagine Spore creature phase, just the creature phase, except it's got a twist in the form of this gigantic cylinder in the distance, which is always moving forward and absolutely crushing and destroying everything in its path. So you have to keep moving and evolving and whatnot, and there's kind of a, there's a thing chasing you at all times. It serves as kind of a, there's a term for that. I can't remember what it's called in game design. There's a term in game design where something is trying to push the player in order to keep moving, in order to keep operating and progressing, and not just sitting for a moment like, oh, I want to just sit here and do this for a while. No, you can't, because that kind of an idea. I can't remember what that's called. The timer in Super Mario Brothers, right? So that's the way it's going to function. There's also some weird, creepy stuff, which I'm just going to gloss over right now, because there's a lot of weird, creepy stuff in the indie stuff that they covered. Only one of the weird, creepy games actually squicked me out to the point where I'm going to add it to the forbidden list. So, next we have Trifox, which unfortunately is not a Star Fox game. I'm very sorry, but Trifox looks like an attempt at a 3D single-player Trine, for those of you familiar with Trine. For those of you not familiar with Trine, there's a rogue, there's a warrior, there's a mage. They play differently, they have different abilities, they can do different stuff. It is a puzzle platformer you're supposed to try and progress through. Except the big gimmick of Trine is that it's co-op. And awesome, by the way. I highly recommend Trine if you have any friends to play it with. So this is single player, and you just swap between the three, and it's 3D. Now, for those of you, or I know what you're going to point out for those of you familiar with Trine. You're going to say, but Trine 3 was 3D. Yeah, but Trine 3 sucked. So this is an attempt at that looks like it doesn't suck. Hopefully. No, I don't, Pika. I think it'll be horrifying. Hang on, I gotta read what Scion just said here. Well, that was kind of the plan anyways, especially since it's probably going to take that long to get funded in general. Isn't it good when games don't suck? Listen. According to the internet, next game is AK-Xolotl. This looks really boring. How many of you are familiar with Enter the Gungeon? Now, Enter the Gungeon isn't boring, quite the contrary, actually. But the problem is, this is the same graphic style almost exactly. In fact, I didn't have a time to check because I was running the clock. But it looks like it might actually be the same developers. So imagine Enter the Gungeon, except instead of this whole big roguelite of awesome, it's like 3 arena maps, and that's it. It's Smash TV, right? There's actually a new term for this, which I just heard of today. It's like an arena shooter, I think is what they call it. But it's a top-down PvP, fight for points arena thing, which looks incredibly boring. Moving on. Next, we have Rubi, the Wayward Mira. This looks awesome. This is one I'm going to add to my list for games I would like to run someday. Rubi, the Wayward Mira is a Shantae-style platformer, which is horror-based. So when I say horror-based, I mean more like Metroid, rather than like Silent Hill. Or, I don't know what else. Well, Smash TV was awesome because you could play it with a friend who was co-op. I mean, it's my opinion. This is pure PvP, which is just not my thing. Where was I? Horror-based. So yeah, you know, you know the story. They were experimenting on something, but something went wrong. I don't think I've ever heard of that Trihexian. No, sorry. There's something that's gone wrong, and we need to escape the facility. That kind of horror, right? And it looks really, really good. The platforming looks legit. It has very tight level design, and I do mean literally tight. Some of the jumps look like they're going to be a bit mean, but that's okay. The sprite work is excellent, and it looks very precise and just generally awesome. So yeah, I'm adding that to my list. Yeah, X is running out. Yeah, exactly, Takata. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a pause here to mention a game that's already out and has been out for a few years. It's called The Wild 8. How many of you have even heard of this game? The answer is, of course, no one. Nobody's ever heard of The Wild 8. But the reason I mention it, I'll look at this later, Scion. No, pause. There we go. The Wild 8 is, oh god, it's a top-down, how do I describe it? So I just mentioned Smash TV, right? Imagine that control scheme. So you got one thing to move and one thing to aim, that type of control scheme. And it's top-down, and it's a survival game, and it's awesome. And it's full co-op, up to 8 players. And I say it's awesome, that's overselling it. The gameplay is excellent, the story is drab to the point of boring. But it's still engaging enough that it makes you want to keep playing, because there is a clear progression path, and there is an actual narrative arc, and there's quests to do, and all sorts of stuff. And I just wanted to plug it really quick, because Pax and I have been playing it in our incredible spare time lately. Which is to say, not much at all. Hi, Saldir. Feel better. So, having plugged Wild 8, let's move back to the Guerrilla Indie Showcase. Next, we have Moroi. This is a game Scion of the Emperor would like. Moroi is a top-down hack-and-slash horror game, very murky graphics, lots of gore, lots of blech, very saturated or desaturated, I guess. Whatever it is that makes it look more grayscale. And it's about trying to endure and survive nightmarish Death Doom. Speaking of which, next up we have Source of Madness, another game that I'm sure Scion of the Emperor would enjoy. Source of Madness is a side-scroller roguelite Lovecraftian game. Near as I can tell, in terms of gameplay, it looks like a much easier and less combat-focused Rogue Legacy, for those of you familiar with that. The art style, there's a term for the art style, I forget it. It's like mural art style. Like, imagine someone that, you know, arts and craft. You got like a chunk of cardboard and you pencil drawn and then you cut it out. And that art style is what it looks like, and everything's just kind of thing. There's a term for that. I can't think of it. I couldn't think of it this morning. Whatever. I don't think anything at all, Pika, especially since I don't know what you're talking about. Next up, we have a horror game. I swear these are not all horror games, but the next 2 are horror games. 3. 18. So, next up we have a horror game called Industria. Now this actually looks kind of legit. It's a first-person game. It's a shooter. Very, very Half-Life 2 / Bioshock vibes. It's set in East Berlin in a parallel world where robots have overrun East Berlin. I don't know what else to add to that, to be completely honest. It does look legit, though. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, so you are not from East Berlin. Your character is from West Berlin. And for those of you who don't know what that means, you're thinking, there's 2 Berlins? So there used to be. Hence the point. This is set during the Cold War, just during a parallel universe when robots were like... That's the whole point. There's not a lot of more information on that, which is unfortunate, because it's probably one of the premises that caught my attention narratively the most. But there's no information, so I got nothing. I am a Frankfurter. Sorry. So, moving on. Next up, we have Chernobylite. Yes, I do, Emperor Valerian. In all honesty, I remember Czechoslovakia. Chernobylite, of the various horror games, is the one that caught my attention the most. So, Chernobylite is a first-person survival horror game set in Pripyat. It is a crafting building style game with Tetris style inventory, Resident Evil 4 style. It is team based. There might be co-op. That's part of what really caught my attention. And it feels a little actiony, so it's not full horror, which is what I'm into. Resident Evil 4. It's definitely no, I have not Hazardous. I'm familiar with it though. It's definitely caught my attention, and it looks actually pretty legit. So, Chernobylite is the name of that one. Moving on. We're actually finally past the horror games, except for a couple others later. Next one is Ultra Age. You ever play Monster Hunter? Okay, so think about the longsword. Now, a whole game where you're just doing that. No, Trihexia. Nor 7, nor 6. Have I played Resident Evil 8? I've been working, man. I don't have time to play games. Ultra Age is extremely anime deliberately. I don't mean that as an insult. Anime-style longsword combat based on having lots and lots and lots of particle effects on the screen, trying to overwhelm the viewer so that they die of light. Oh, I don't know. I got nothing. They didn't show like anything for the game. It was just a dude with a big sword beating up a bunch of stuff. Moving on. El Paso That's the second time. El Paso Elsewhere is the name of the next game. El Paso Elsewhere is a third-person dungeon crawler with bullet time where you're fighting werewolves and vampires. I can actually describe this one pretty easily. Have you ever played any of the older Max Payne games? That. But with werewolves and vampires. It's even got the same kind of approach when it comes to the narrative. Would you believe that this is a love story? So that actually looks pretty cool. I'm going to be following that one. If I can remember the damn name. Next we have Elderand. I believe this is actually our last horror game. This actually looks pretty good, though. It is Castlevania-inspired, and that's their words, not mine. Castlevania-inspired RPG set in a Lovecraftian setting. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ugh, more gore. I didn't see any gore for this one. It looks like they might actually be going for an actual Lovecraftian setting. You know, the eldritch horrors that influence from beyond and don't give a damn about you, that kind of a thing. Either way, it does look really cool, and it's caught my attention, so that's another one I'll be watching. Elderand is the name of that one. Next up, Aerial Knights Never Yield. Yeah, Castlevania was pretty gory. Especially Soten. It's just weird to think about in hindsight. Anyways. Aerial Knights Never Yield. Aerial Knights Never Yield is a runner game. No, not me. So, for those of you not familiar with this genre, runner games are games entirely designed around... You're supposed to speed through it as quickly as possible, hold right. But the whole shtick, the whole gimmick is that you're trying to do tricks and tips and use special abilities to go even faster, and there's this non-stop cavalcade of stuff getting in your way, right? Obstacles that you're supposed to dodge up and around and through, that kind of a thing. It's a subgenre of a platformer game. I've only seen a few of these, mostly... No, not Mirror's Edge, because Mirror's Edge is first person. Although, similar overall style. But yeah, runner games are actually pretty fun. Usually I see runner games in Flash games, believe it or not. Oh my god, effing Craig. Yeah, I remember that. It looks pretty cool. I didn't care for the music of it, but I mean, it's just preference. It looks pretty cool. Next up, we have Tinkertown. Tinkertown looks like a game that would be cool if it had some actual meat on its bones, which of course it does not. Let me explain what I mean by that. Yeah, exactly, Dakota. So Tinkertown is a top-down, sprite-based sandbox build game. Okay, it's getting a new biome. It's still in early access. Getting a new biome. It's getting a whole bunch of other new stuff you can build and do, and that's cool. But there's nothing to do in it. Now, this is a problem I've run into with quite a few games, especially build games and survival games over the years, because there's nothing to do in them. There's no content, right? I've actually talked about this before, because this is the distinction between player-generated content and developer-generated content. Player-generated content is, here's a bunch of tools, here's a sandbox, and then they just sit back and let you do whatever. I'm not into that, I never have been. I tend to find those games extremely boring because I play them for an hour, lose interest, and move on. A game that has developer-generated content is what I mean when I say content, right? Like that's when you actually have stuff to do, a progression path, or quest, or story, or narrative, or structure, or new islands to reach, or something. Subnautica, Dragon Quest Builders 2, and the aforementioned Wild 8 are examples of survivor builder games where you have content, because it's developer-generated content. I bring this up because that's Tinkertown. Tinkertown does not have that. It's just a big old sandbox, have fun. So if you are interested in a big old open sandbox where there's, just do whatever, there you go. And yeah, I agree, Crazy Norse. The whole reason why Dragon Quest Builders and Dragon Quest Builders 2 were so damn good is because they were Minecraft with actual stuff to do. Anyways. So, that leads us into Zodiac Legion, the Takoida game. I think that's a huge mistake, Pika, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Cyberpunk, there's my answer. The what ones, Mike and Mono? Zodiac Legion is seriously, Takoida, I mean this with sincerity. Look this game up. I think it'll be your bag. This is a complex or complicated, not sure which, won't be able to tell until it comes out. So it's a turn-based, hex grid-based strategy game. Turn-based, tactical-based strategy game. It's got old-style sprite art, kind of like the old Heroes of Might and Magic kind of style of artwork. Now, here's the thing that really caught me here. Gotcha. Yeah, I know, I'm with you on that, Mike Kamano. The thing that caught me about this is I was looking at that like, okay, I mean, those are a dime a dozen, right? The catch is this one is focused almost entirely on guerrilla warfare. The whole point of the structure of the missions and this stuff is to not get into combat. Because if you get into combat, you're screwed because you're stealth-focused or sabotage-focused or a scout. You don't want to engage the enemy forces. Now, if you do, it's not game over and you can survive that encounter. It's just they're going to steamroll you. And I have to admit that little additive kind of caught my attention. And it does look pretty cool, and I will be watching this one. Again, that was Zodiac Legion. Scroll down a little bit. What's my EVE Online's economy? That is a multi-hour answer. That's my response to that, Trihexia. No, it's not a shooter. It's a top-down, grid-based, turn-based tactical RPG. There. Yeah. Think XCOM 2 if the goal was to always stay in the stealth mode. That kind of a thing. Oh, I love Stardew Valley. You kidding me? So I'm going to go off on a tangent on this next game briefly. So there's this new game called Super Space Club. It's asteroids. with a few additional gimmicks and mechanics built onto it. The reason I mention that is because that's something I've been seeing a little bit more of lately that I'm actually in favor of. Now, here's the tangent. How many of you have ever played Oregon Trail? Not Oregon Trail, it's a different thing. I actually imagine the overwhelming majority of you have played Oregon Trail. At the very least, you've probably heard it. By the way, the reason I'm saying it that way is to distinguish between Oregon Trail and Oregon Trail. Because, yeah. So, there's a new Oregon Trail game, which is on Apple Arcade. And I mention it. It's right here. The reason I mention it is because you're like, well, it's Oregon Trail. Okay, cool, whatever. The thing is, what they did was they took the old game and they added to it. They added gimmicks, they added mechanics, and you already see where I'm going with this. I'm actually kind of in favor of this, because what they are effectively doing is adding layers and complexity to an old classic game that didn't have that. Because let's be honest, the original Oregon Trail, while it was fun, was really, really simple. And the same is true for most of the games from that particular era, the Apple IIe era, if you will. Or the early Mac, or the early PC, or whatever. Oh yeah, by the way, Taiwan is a separate country from China. Thank you for reminding me, Trihexia. Anyways, that's actually going to come up in a future game, believe it or not. So what they've done is they've added, and I do actually recommend this for anybody who has Apple Arcade. The downside is it's Apple Arcade exclusive, to my knowledge. They've added multiple different journeys you can go through. They've added the ability to save and quit. They've added classes and this whole Tetris-style inventory thing, which is actually really cool. The way they do it is, so you've got, like, your... I like that as is. You've got your giant chunk of grid. Like, this is your inventory, the Tetris-style inventory, like Resident Evil 4, like I mentioned earlier. But the thing is, your wagon can take damage, and there's two types of damage. There's exposed, and there's destroyed. So that'll make a particular square yellow or red. Yellow means if it rains or if you go through a river or whatever, anything on the yellow square is gone. It's lost. If it's red, you can't put anything on that particular square. And there's particular ways to repair it and all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of a cool little way to do that kind of inventory system. And this is what I mean. They've taken the base of, Oregon Trail, and they've made it something interesting. And that's why, let's bring this back to On Topic, to Super Space Club. It looks like they are adding new gimmicks and mechanics to make asteroids interesting. In this case, they're adding like a fuel meter, and there's like a score thing, and there's something where you actually kind of upgrade your stuff, and blah, 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 blah. So it's cool, and I'm with it, and I like it. Moving on. It's my fault. I said it, von Falkenstein. That's why I'm not letting it go. But seriously, Taiwan's a separate country. This is stupid. Yes, I can, Jon Snow. Thank you very, very much. Always appreciate. Much obliged. Thank you. I will put that towards Near Replicant. The new one. Which is actually already on the thing, so, Hello, Romanker. Romanker? Romanker? Help me out here. Hi. Is that on the list, Scion? Because if it's not, then you get to wait. Yeah, I agree, Von Falkenstein. That's why I responded that way. The idea that someone would have to immediately go and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for accidentally saying that Taiwan is a country is stupid on every level. To be perfectly blunt, I'm not even sure I believe that's legitimate. Like, I think that might have actually been a meme. It's like saying, I'm so sorry for saying that Canada is a separate country from the United States. I'll never say it again. Please forgive me. Oh my God, I was so wrong. Oh, forgive me. Grovel. Grovel, forgive me, Canada. Anyways. Thank you, Scion of the Emperor. Haven't heard a response from you back yet, so I'm going to go ahead and plunge forward with the stream. Where was I? Right. Onsen Master. So, Oh, right, you asked a question. Hang on, let's hit the stream breaks again. Give me a second, give me a second. Hang on, because I have that in a separate area, because obviously it's not on the website yet. You have put $35 towards it, Hazardous, is the answer to your question. And Ciela has put $2 towards it, and that's it. That's where it's at right now. Listen, I'm sorry! Blow up Alex, please! Please, no! I'll never do it again. How many of you have played Overcooked? Raise my hand on this one. This is... I know, I've been great. This is Overcooked. Oh my god, it's such a stressful game. One of the things, I can't remember if I played Overcooked 1 or 2, or if there is a 2. I might be misremembering. I played the one on the Switch. But Overcooked is hysterical and awesome. Or 2, whichever one it is. It's the one that starts off in a distant, horrific nightmarescape where the future is being destroyed. Right? Is that... I'll just Google it. Hang on. I think that's Overcooked 2. The China's always right act. The China has money act. I think it's Overcooked 2, is specifically the game I'm thinking of. I'm almost positive. Yeah, this looks right. Anyways, whatever. So, oh yeah, Finn Craig. For those of you not familiar with the Overcooked series, so I've played Overcooked 2, pretty sure. It is incredibly stressful, and there's a silly / horrifying narrative, because of course there is, about cooking against the end of the world. Don't worry, there's time travel involved. I'm not joking. So, you can check the website for that, Duckfish. Go to the lorerunner.com. Or search for it on lorerunner.com. Anyway, so you... gosh, how do I explain this? It's a top-down game, and you get orders, like people show up, and this is also based on an old Flash game, by the way, which I actually played back in the day. The people say, I want this, I want potato soup, or I want tomato soup, or I want a salad, right? So you then have to go grab you have to chop the ingredients, you have to put them in the pot. The pot can't sit on the stove for too long. It can't, once it's done being cooked, it can't sit and cool for too long. Any pot that's used has to be washed. The plates that deliver the food have to be washed. And obviously you have to physically carry the final dish to the customer who actually has it. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got right now. But I mentioned each of those specifically things because it's much harder to do than it sounds. So much harder to do than it sounds. Now here's the funny thing, and this is actually arguably why this game is not particularly well designed. Its difficulty doesn't vary based on number of players. So good luck playing it solo. This is a very clearly designed for co-op game. Now me and my sister and my sister's husband played it once and failed a few times, despite 3 of us who were coordinating. It is incredibly hectic. We ended up succeeding because I basically started being the manager rather than just letting them do whatever. I'm like, all right, look. Bob, that's not his name. Bob, you deliver. Sis, you chop. I'm going to do dishes, and I'm going to manage the stove. Do this, do this, do this. Chunk, 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 chunk. We actually needed, I forget what it's called, the kitchen master. There's a term for that. I actually needed to do that in order to beat the freaking game. Anyways, getting back to the game in question. So, Onsen Master, getting back to it. Head chef, okay. There's just, yeah, Sylvanas book. I'm not buying it. Expediter. Well, no, the Expediter was actually Bob in this case. He was the one doing the expedition thing, or the expediting side of the work. Onsen Master is that style of game. That's why I spent so much time describing this style of game. Except instead of being a cooking thing, it's a hot spa. It's a hot spring spa. So you have to actually pick up people and shove them into, like, the hot spring and the massage and take care of their nails, push this over here and then do this over here and then move up here and then do the same overall style of gameplay. It's just, again, hot spring and a spa instead of that. Is it very anime? Well, a yokai shows up right at the beginning to help you manage your hot spring. So... Takoida made the joke earlier, Hazardous, that the Flash games had to go somewhere. I don't think it's a joke, to be blunt. I think people are just starting to turn the old Flash games into games, and that's where we're at with this. Either way, it looks actually pretty fun. It's kind of a little fun thing, especially with the co-op. Moving on. Next up we have... I have no idea how to pronounce this. Ynglet? 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 Y-N-G-L-E-T. Anyways, you ever play Flower on the PS3? No, of course you haven't. Nobody played Flower. It's Flower, except in 2D. It's, so there's actually a term for this. And I can't remember what it's called. It's a meditation game, I believe, is what they're calling it nowadays. There's actually a few of these nowadays. And it's a game which you're just supposed to go... There's no goal, really. Like, there's a form of progress. You know, Flower does actually have progression, for example. You can beat a stage and move on. But it's just... Yeah, Zen games, exactly, Raskar. You're just kind of doing whatever, relaxing. So if you're into that, if you're into relaxation game, Ynglet? Ynglet? I don't know. Looks like another one of those. It's 2D instead of 3D, but otherwise it looks pretty cool. So then we have Kraken Academy. Hi, Doom Rider. Kraken Academy is extremely vague in what they were able to tell me as far as the actual gameplay. But supposedly it's a top-down puzzle dialogue tree-based point-and-click adventure game. I think I'm getting that all right there. Where you work with a Kraken to craft a time loop to save the world at a high school. It looks like it uses an engine I've seen a few times in other games. I don't actually know what it's called. If you saw it, you'd probably recognize it. It's really low pixel, but it's not actually low resolution, if you know what I mean. Like, it looks like the person has 3 pixels width in their body sprite, but it's actually a fully 3-dimensional object that's mapped onto a 3D thing, which is then morphed and mutated, rather than being actual sprite work. It's very unique graphic style, and I've seen it a few times. It's got that, with regards to the graphic style. Anyways, moving on. Another game that I'm going to buy regardless of the show, this is the first game I'm buying regardless of the show, by the way, is called Aeon Drive. Aeon Drive is a co-op side-scroller platformer with 30 seconds per stage. Now, I'm already sold, to be completely blunt, but it looks really cool and really fun. So let me describe that 30-second thing. You're probably thinking, 30 seconds? If you've never played Hyzak, if you've never played Half-Minute Hero, it's the same overall premise. You have 30 seconds before... So you have to get as much done in that 30 seconds as possible, and the game is designed around that, right? Like, the game is constructed in a way to give you... So that 30 seconds is plenty, is the idea here. And the faster you are, the even better it is. Like, you can get under 5 or 10 seconds, depending on the stage. And the time freezes a little bit based on, you know, like if you have a dialogue thing up, and you can do things to get time back, and so forth and so on. So, it looks extremely cool. It is a co-op side-scroller platformer, which is extremely rare to begin with. And like I said, I'm going to be buying that regardless of the show, but I'm also going to be putting that on my list for hopefully someday reviewing when it comes out. Aeon Drive. A-E-O-N Drive. Moving on. Oh, I love speedrunning Half-Minute Hero. I absolutely love doing that. How many of you have actually beaten the 3-second mode in Half-Minute Hero? Because I have. 3 second instead of 30. Love it. Anyways. So, next we have Endling. Endling? Yeah. These words. It's okay, later we'll have words that are clearly not supposed to be said in English. This one sounds, not that I'm aware of, Romancure. And thank you, Daniel Dort. As always. Much appreciate, and I'll put that towards Legend of Legaia. You got it. And Sean has dropped the N in his name. No! I knew it. Oh, okay. I'll just... Shaw is now your name. Which, I'd make a Warcraft joke, but you might not get it. Yeah, surely Arzakov. Make sure I get the numbers right. So that's 8 for Shantae Half Genie. Half Genie, awesome. Love the Shantae series. We're getting pretty close to me having played all of them. I only haven't played the original, which is now on the Switch. Anyways, and Mass Effect 3, you got it. Thank you very much, as always, Sean. Or, excuse me, Shaw. Wait, is your first name Matthias? Endling is a game in which you play a fox. Now, let's go ahead and get the negative out of the way first. The narrative that was playing over the trailer was way too preachy. I get it, humans are evil, and it turns out it was man. Yeah, okay, I've played The Last of Us. I've watched Twilight Zone, whatever, moving on. So let's ignore that for a second. However, ignoring the preachiness, the game itself looks pretty cool. It is a survival game, there's a lot of survival games, but you play as a fox, and that's pretty much the twist. You can't craft stuff, you can't build stuff, you are a fox. So you can hunt, you know, you can kill, you can forage, and you can smell, and you have certain other little fox-related abilities, but that's it, right? And your opponent is man, which you probably got by the preachiness I mentioned earlier. Any games where it turns out the humans are actually good guys? Mass Effect. Alright, What? Star Trek? So, it looks alright. You can check the website to answer that question, Pika. I mean, you don't even have to check the list. You could just check the recently funded sticker, which I've got in the upper left now. Anyways, point being, it looks alright. Moving on. Next up, we have the Beasts of Maravilla Island. This is what Pokemon Snap should be. I'm just going to say that as bluntly as I can. How many of you have played Pokemon Sword and Shield? Obviously, I'll raise my hand on that one. Pokemon Sword of Shield has this nice, big... I have a website on Volgashen that I updated like 20 minutes ago. Actually, excuse me, an hour ago at this point. I didn't realize it was already 11. I've been talking a while. Big ol' open areas, right? I mean, the DLCs were basically nothing but big ol' open areas. I forget what they call them, like the safari areas or whatever. That was awesome, and I love that, and I hope they do more of that in the future. We'll find out June 15th, I suppose. Or June 20th, or whatever the Nintendo thing is. But the reason I bring this up is because Pokemon Snap, the new one, is still on rails. It's a rail shooter, except you're taking pictures instead of shooting things. Which is cool and all, but give us the safari. Give us the open world to roam around in and actually take pictures in, right? Anyways, so Beasts of Maravilla Island is that. It is Pokemon Snap, except you actually can roam around and take the pictures yourself in the open world rather than being on rails. That's it. That's the game. Still looks pretty cool. For anybody interested in the genre. Wargroove. You got it, Anosians. Thank you. Much obliged. This is my place here. I've heard nothing good about Bug Snacks, but I don't know is the answer to that question, prisoners. Omno. So Omno is a 3D puzzle platformer, except this also feels like a Zen game. I mean, there are puzzles in 3D, but they look really, really, really basic. Instead, what Omno looks like more to me is Journey. Except for, you know, actually adding some puzzle elements here and there. Which is fine. Journey's certainly an acceptable game. All 1 hour of it. Then we have Fire Tonight. So Fire Tonight... Where do they come up with these names? Fire Tonight is a point-and-click adventure puzzle game about finding someone else that they have just connected with. It's like, hey, what's up? Hey, the phone went out. What's going on? So you roam out, it turns out the whole city's on fire. As you can see, as Emperor Valerian is demonstrating the fire that is present here. I'll get back to that in a second. EA hasn't announced theirs yet, Pika. But probably. I've noticed that too, Micromono. Anyway, so yeah, puzzle. So it's a puzzle-based, point-and-click adventure game. City's on fire. Try to negotiate your way through it in order to find the other person. Not my thing, really, but it seems alright. At least looks decently constructed. This brings us to The Lightbringer. Now, this looks like a game that I would actually hate for reasons I'll go into in a moment. Lightbringer is a 3D puzzle platformer. I feel like a deja vu there. But no, this is actually a 3D puzzle platformer. Like, substantial, significant amounts of, 3D platforming and lots of puzzle design, lots of, extensive stages with lots of moving parts and yada, yada, yada. So it's an actual puzzle platformer. It looks fun, other than the fact that based on what we were shown, the automatic camera sucks. And how many of you have played Mario 3D World? Now, 3D World is, in my opinion, the second best 3D Mario game out there, although I've never reviewed it, so I don't know if that's actually true. However, if I ever review Mario 3D World, plug, I am going to ding that game possibly, well, at least 2 times, possibly 3 times for its camera. Let me give you a specific example. So I was playing through 3D World with Pax, my friend. So we're co-oping, right? The camera is automatic. You don't have camera control. The first problem is the fact that the camera is stuck in an isometric perspective. Now, if you don't understand why that's a problem, the fact that you're stuck in isometric makes it difficult to gauge distance. Like, it's hard to actually see how far you have to jump, especially if you have issues with depth perception, which I do. So there's several things where it's like, and you look like you're on top of the thing. No, you just go right beyond the platform and die. And again, no camera control. Hang on, it gets worse. Because the camera auto-adjusts based on whatever, right? So it's like you have the camera just kind of doing this. Hang on, it gets worse. While the camera is adjusting, it also adjusts your controls on the fly, which you can understand why they do that. But it adjusts based on the players present. There are some of the later, more difficult stages where our strategy was for me to pick up Pax and carry him, because that way the camera would be static on me. Otherwise, it would be doing this weird zoom out, zoom in, bounding around thing, trying to keep both of us in frame, and not always succeeding. And it doesn't always decide to follow the person who's in front. Sometimes the camera will just focus on him as I'm trying to do this difficult jump over lava over here, and the camera's like, oh, let's look at Pax, who's just standing here waiting for me to make the jump. The relevance is that after watching the Lightbringer trailer, it looks like they are using that camera. So no thank you. I mean, Star Wars would win Trihexia, let's be honest with ourselves. Although, Ratchet & Clank has stupid tech, so who knows. Just a couple more, Valerian. Give me a second here. So next we have... I still need to get a hold of Scion as well, now that I'm thinking about it. Sorry, I just noticed your donation. I am super not doing that. I have. Anyways, next game is Legend of... I'm going to mispronounce this horribly. Legend of Tianding. It's based on an actual real-life Taiwan, the separate country, hero called Liao Tianding, which I'm pronouncing incredibly wrong, I'm sure. It actually looks like a pretty fun game. It's very Streets of Rage 4 in terms of combat and visual style. And it's got actual platforming elements and explorative elements to it. So it's not just a side-scroller beat-em-up. It's a platformer where the combat is side-scroller beat-em-up, if that makes any sense. It does look legit. It looks like it has some fun boss fights. You know, I'm going to fling lightning at you kind of a thing. And there's secret hidden stuff. And, of course, it's actually following the story of the actual real-life legend. So it sounds pretty cool. I'm with it. Lamentum. So this one's for you, Scion, because this is the game that I have put on the forbidden list. This one's really gross. You can look it up if you want to. Warning. Lamentum is what it's called. This is an extremely gross-looking game. Holy crap. it's a sprite-based, pixel-based, top-down, slow-paced action horror game. When I say slow, I emphasize the slow thing because the pace of it is like, you kind of go over here, you grab a thing. Like, it's almost like a point-and-click adventure in terms of its overall tempo, right? Like, grab, and then shoot the bad guy, and then move over here. Yeah. No, thank you. Moving on. Next up, we have My Lovely Wife. So, this is a time management-based dating alchemy simulator. Hear me out for a second. I'm not going to play this, but the premise actually sounds kind of amusing. So here's the deal. Like I said, time management is the major focus. You have X time, the end. You have to... so your wife died. She's dead. And you're trying to bring her back through alchemy. So the primary gameplay focus and loop is about managing your experiments, your alchemy lab, getting resources and things, and how you craft them into new wives. Yes, plural. The thing is, your new wives aren't good. Like, one of them's a succubi, and one of them's an abomination, and you get where this is going. So yeah, it's Full Metal Alchemist, for those of you familiar with that. Doesn't turn out super well, and you're supposed to try and deal with them, and hopefully do something about that in order to try and bring your action. I think the goal, near as I can tell, I think the goal is to actually bring your real wife back, and not, an eldritch abomination, or a demon, or an undead. It looks surprisingly good, all things considered. It's certainly an interesting take on the dating sim style, because it is still a dating sim game, because you could totally fall in love with any of your creations and just abandon your wife in favor of your I mean, no judgment, I'm not here to kink shame. So next game we've got is hang on, I got a question. Brandon Sanderson. Does not sound familiar. So I'm going to go with no. Because I don't think I've heard of that. Thoughts on ESO's growth since the lore run of Elder Scrolls? I still haven't actually really played ESO, so I don't know, is my answer to that. It is, however, actually the good Elder Scrolls game. So make it that way. I mean, it's probably better than Skyrim for everything I've seen. And, Skyrim came out how long ago now? I might have actually read some of their stuff if they're an author. I just have no idea of specifics because I don't have memory of that. Like, I haven't read stuff in a long time because I don't read anymore. Thank you, Bragwin. Very, very much. Always appreciate. You're right, I should have known that. It has been 10 years this November when Skyrim came out. It's okay, they're totally going to announce Elder Scrolls 6 this E3 because it's happening. It's happening. Oh god. Lufia 2, you got it, Bragwin. Where was I? Retrograde Arena. This looks boring. It's a top-down arena shooter. It's the Smash TV thing again. The twist, okay, I say it looks boring. This game is actually out. I think it's the only game on this list that's actually out. This game, it does have a twist, which is cool. If you're into PvP arena shooters, I would actually probably recommend this one. So, top-down, twin stick. Thing is, your bullets do no damage at all. Your weapons, the various different power-ups you get, 0 damage. However, they do interact with the physics. So you can knock back or yank or bounce or whatever, and you could hit some of the terrain to move some of the terrain. And what actually kills you is the energy fields that are here and there throughout the various, the terrain. So, bzzz, or bzzz, stuff like that. So the whole goal is to try and knock people into the dead zones. It's a decent twist on it, and it looks fun if you're into that thing, which of course I am not. Potato flowers in full bloom. So, I think this is a Japanese game. I don't know. It was in a language I don't understand. And all of the language was in a language I don't understand. So all I know in English is the name of the game, which is Potato Flowers in Full Bloom. So all I can tell you about this game is what I saw, which is that, you remember those old first-person dungeon crawler games? We've shown off a couple of those. I guess that was Wizardry that did that. You know, it's chunk, 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 turn left, chunk, 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 turn right, chunk, chunk, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, it's that, except every time you actually encounter an enemy, it goes, and you actually go down to a turn-based thing and fight it in an old, you know, Dragon Quest style thing. Unfortunately, that is all I can tell you about the game, because again, I don't speak whatever language that is. Moving on. Next we have Varbarion. I don't know what the hell this is. It's a big, flashy fighting game. It's in 3D, but it's like Virtua Fighter, for those of you who remember that. For those of you who don't, it's lane-based. So even though the game is in 3D, you and your opponent are still actually stuck, connected to each other on a 2D plane, a lane. So it is actually still a fighting game. It's just, you know, as the camera does this, you're still stuck on a plane, that kind of a thing. Looks cool, I guess. Moving on. Then we have hang on. Antinomy of Common Flowers. This is another game in a language I don't understand, although I think I actually know what this one's from. This is Touhou based, I believe. It is a fighting game, I think. Let me add that asterisk. I think this is a fighting game based on the Touhou franchise, because I think I recognized a few of the pairs. So, that's it. That's all I've got, because again, it wasn't in English. So, I've got nothing. And it's called Antinomy of Common Flowers. So Three more. I'm almost done. Three more. First of all, then we have Survival Quiz City. So this is Fall Guys with a twist. If you're not familiar with Fall Guys, it's a bunch of extremely loose physics-based platforming in a bad physics engine on purpose to, you know, you have to get to the end, right? Now, once you get to the end, there is a trivia question. If you answer the trivia question yes, then you get to have a gun. If you answer it no, you don't. As in, if you answer it wrong. You can guess what happens next. Two more games. Ironically, I have the least to say about these, even though I've actually already pre-ordered both. So, Blaster Master 03 is coming out, and it looks awesome. For those of you who haven't actually heard me praise the hell out of Blaster Master 0 or Blaster Master 02, allow me to praise the hell out of Blaster Master 0 and Blaster Master 02. Blaster Master 03 is coming out and looks amazing. It is also intended to be the end of the trilogy of the Blaster Master 0 series. And Azure Striker Gunvolt 3. Now, Azure Striker Gunvolt... No, we actually haven't gotten around to it, Dakota. Which is a shame. I think I showed it off for like 5 minutes, but I've never actually played it. Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 is by the team who made the Mega Man Zero series and then actually figured out how to make a game fun. So, long story. The long and the short of that one is the Gunvolt series is modern Mega Man in just about every way that matters. Each one has gotten successively better than the previous ones. I say that. So the first one I played was the one that crossed over with Mighty Number 9. That one sucked. And so I just swore off the series until PAX insisted I try the first game, which came out after that, which was okay. And then as a result, I picked up the second one, which is actually pretty darn fun. Have not played the third one, obviously, because it's not out yet, but I'm enthused enough to go ahead and pre-order it, as I previously mentioned. Okay, that's the list. That's everything. That took me an hour and 14 minutes just to go through that. A lot of games were announced. Intergrade is super off the table, Venetia. Like, if you suggested me Um, that's true of Unfalkenstein. I prefer to pre-order, though. Kind of lock it in. Fire and forget. God, annotating this is going to be an actual nightmare. No promises. I might. I usually do, but it's like 40 notations for each of these friggin' games. But that's actually it. I am going to go ahead and chop off the local recording.